everyone, Linda Israel here, and I have a shabby chic tag tutorial to share with you today. I'm making this because I'm doing a swap with a few ladies from the Friendly Junk Journal People group, and this particular person said that they like shabby chic. She wanted pastel colors. So I've got a few things laying out here. And the first thing I've got is a piece of cardstock that is 4 by 6 in measurements. And what I'm going to do is line this up, because this is a 1-inch grid and I want 1-inch corners cut on my tag. So I've just marked it with a regular pen. And I'm going to go in here and cut across the diagonal. Grab that little piece, take it over here to the other side, and flip it. And then cut this one the same way. And that ensures that I got a pretty even looking tag. Next, I've got a piece of paper that I want to mat on my tag. So what I'm doing right now is I am lining this up to where there's a border, an even border on both sides, and it's flush with the top. And I'm going to go to the back side and trim off the corners. And by doing that, look here, when I slide this down, it has a nice little border all the way around. And so this piece is approximately 1/4 inch smaller. So it was 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 is what I cut for the top. Next, I've got some distressed ink here. So I'm going to go around both pieces with the distressed ink and a blending tool. I've got my spray box and I'm going to lay this tag in here with my lace stencil. This is a stencil that I have in my shop. And then I have a couple colors of Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. This one is called Taffy and this one's called Limeade. I do not clean my stencils, and I know that the last time I used this stencil it had some orange on it. So I'm hoping that when I do this it'll give a little bit of an orange tinge in with the pink and the green. So I'm just going to spray this a couple of times, and now I'm going to do the green. So it's still going to be a softer pastel color, and hopefully it'll have a nice little effect to it. So now I'm going to take a scrap of paper and mop up the excess Tattered Angels. Because this is kind of wet, I'm going to use a heat tool and dry it for a moment. Well, it did get some of that orange bleed on there, and I like the way that looks, and then there's a lot of pink in there as well. So I'm going to take some glue and attach this to my card base. I'm using the large no clog writing cap on Scrap Perfect's glue, and I like it because it's such a thin little nib that I can go in here and put just precisely the amount of glue that I need to adhere this together. And because I'm going to sew on top of it, I'm not putting a whole bunch of glue. And you don't really need a whole lot of glue when you're dealing with thin paper. This paper that I'm using is out of an old family Bible that I picked up at a thrift store. And I like the texture that it adds when you use pages like that. Alright, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I've got a little scrap of lace that was given to me by my dear neighbor who moved away. She was cleaning out her space and said, Linda, I have a few things, and so she gave it to me. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of eyeballing how it's going to fit onto this tag. I'm going to take a pair of scissors and just kind of trim it just a little bit. And I think what I want to do, I'm just kind of laying this out here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere it down by putting glue on the thicker portions of this lace all down the side. That's going to be somewhat in the middle of my tag, because I don't plan to sew in the middle completely over this lace, but just enough to tack it into place. And I don't want to put a whole bunch of glue on it where it's not needed. Alright, so I put a bunch of little dots on here. So I'm going to very carefully lay this over my tag and press it into place. And that should help hold it down. And then I'm going to flip it over and trim off this excess. And I didn't put glue on this corner because I wasn't sure if I was going to cut it off. So I'm going to put a little glue on here. I'm not really worried about these edges here of the lace because I do plan to sew. I do see a gap right here. So, okay. So I've got little pieces that I want to put on top. So what I'm going to do next is add some distress ink to them. This is an image from Calico Collage. I'll have the link in the description box. I think it's a Victorian ladies. There were 2-inch round circles, and then I, on my Cricut, with a scrap of kind of a peach colored, cut out a 2 1/4 inch circle. I'm going to add some distress ink to the edges of these. And I've got my little words out, so I'm just going around the edges. These are words that I create and have in my shop. They're a 12-point font, and they're printed on white cardstock. So the reason why I'm going around that edge is because you can see that white cardstock right there. But now you don't see it when you ink it up. And I've got a little square of fabric. This is some vintage looking fabric. It was just a scrap that I had left over from, where did I get this? I think this was from my Quilt Guild grab bag. So you got a whole bunch of just pieces. And I think what I want to do is layer this up. So I'm just putting a little glue on the back side of this because I do plan to sew it to the fabric. So I'm going to look at this. Do I want to put it on point, or do I want it straight? I think I want to do it on point. So it kind of looks like a diamond, but it's an actual square, and the square is 2 1/2 inches. So I'm just going to go in here and add a little bit of glue again so that it doesn't move around on me, because I plan to take it to my sewing machine next. Okay, so we're almost done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my sewing machine and put a zigzag stitch all the way around. I use black thread in the upper and the lower, and we'll stitch that. And then I'm going to do a zigzag stitch right around this image, and then I will adhere these when we get back to this view. So give me just a moment. I've gone around the edge and stitched the lace to the tag. I just like the way that looks on there. And then I've stitched all the way around this face image. So the next thing I want to do is position this on my tag. I'm going to use some glue on the back and just make it right on the perimeter, because this is not going to be sewn down. I want to make sure that there's enough adhesive on here that it's not going to come off of the tag. So I'm really making sure I got a good bead. I just make a little spiral in the center. And we'll position her somewhat in the center. I'm going to press her into place. And I've got my crocodile eyelet setter hole punch. So I'm going to go up here and punch a little hole. Sometimes that lace doesn't punch all the way through, but it's got it started. So I'm just going to snip it out. So I have a little hole there. I've got a piece of fabric here. I'm just going to cut a narrow piece off of it. So it's probably, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1/2 inches long. It's not real long. You can do longer. Don't want to do too much shorter because it'd be harder to get it to make a little tie, but it can be done. And I thought that should go right here on the top. And I've got these little flowers. They're kind of a foam piece to them. They were given to me. It was a Happy Mail that I got, and I haven't used them. So I picked 3 of them, and I'm twisting this together because I want just a little bit of a tail, but I'm going to cut off the rest of that. I don't need all that wire, and get rid of that. And I know I want to put it right about here, So before I glue it down, I want to glue down the words. It says, "A dream is a wish your heart makes." So I'm going to go and put this up here. And I'll put this one down in the bottom right corner. When you're dealing with paper and fabric, sometimes you have to press it to make sure that the glue is adhering the pieces together. So that's why I'm pressing that just a little bit. Alright, so I've got my flowers. I think I want to put them right there. And I have a simple hot glue gun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bead of glue on here and just a little on the back side of the stem. And we're going to stick this in place right about there. And then I have this fuzzy yarn. Again, this is another gift that was given to me. And just so happened this piece was loose. And I'm going to lay it across my fingers and wrap it around my fingers about 3 times so that the tails are sticking out. And I'm going to pinch this together in the middle. So this is a fast way to make a floppy bow. I'm going to take another piece of this and wrap it around the middle, kind of folding it in half. And I'm going to tie a knot. And then I'm just going to cut off this excess. And now I have a little shabby chic fluffy bow. Isn't that cute? And we're going to glue that down here on the flower stem. So I'm going to just put a little dollop of hot glue and then stick that on top. And it's got a nice little fluffiness to it. Alright, and then before I'm done, because I like to add glitter, I've got my Tulip Dimensional Glitter Paint on the medium no clog cap. And what I'm going to do, and this may be hard to see, but there's a little tulle in here and then the roses. And I'm going to put a little drop or two of glitter here and there on that flower, and then let a couple of drops land on the tulip or the flower, the roses. It just adds a little bit of sparkle. Okay, and then this will dry clear but sparkly, and it'll be really pretty. Then I'm going to go in here on this image and add a little glitter here and there on the flowers I can see. And then that will dry clear and sparkly and be really cute. So that's one tag that I made, and I thought I would show you another one with a different image. Same concept, different image and different words that I used on there. But I think I had 8 of the, I have 2 more of these little roses left, and you have to do it in 3s. You don't do it in 4s. So I'll save these for another project. But that's one more thing that I am, slowly using up in my stash. Well, I hope you liked my take on a shabby chic tag. I don't really make 3D tags because they're so bulky in a journal, but I know this lady that's going to get this would love this, and so I wanted to make sure that I made it fluffy and pretty for her. Well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, comment below if you have any comments, how your interpretation of shabby chic. Do you have a certain color range that you think is only shabby chic? I just thought this pale green and using this peachy pink was really pretty together. Check out my description box to links to my Facebook groups, my social media, as well as the links to the Calico Collage images and the no clog writing cap that I used today. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell at the top. And lastly, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate every like, comment, share, and subscription that you guys give me. Do check out my Facebook groups and come and hang out with us there as well. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a fabulous day. Bye.